Yes, guys, welcome back to flatcapeurotalk here, and we are going to be having a very, very fun discussion, and we're just going to be practically having a bit of a, lighthearted sort of debate. You could say, just a bit of a, just a transfer sort of discussion, non-Spurs, and I feel like this channel has sort of been able to, have a fun, bit of time, not really discussing very much Spurs content. I think I've kind of enjoyed it, and we're going to kind of, continue that trend, with this discussion today, where we're basically bringing you 5 transfers that are our favorite transfers. We're going to be going from center backs to left backs and right backs. We're going to do into midfielders as well as 2 forwards. So we've really limited ourselves to 5 transfers, but I'm really looking forward to it because I think they're going to be some clever inclusions. It probably made up by the panelists that we have here. We have Darius and Kieran as always. Darius, how you doing, my friend?
I'm honestly, I'm really good. I feel a bit weird because we haven't really had much Tottenham news in sort of recent history, but
Mm.
very, very recent history, shall I say, because we've had a lot of news in the summer window. So I'm kind of expecting a bit of Spurs transfer news, but regardless, there's only 8 days now, is it, until the Premier League starts, or even maybe less?
I
So
think it's 9 now, isn't it? Or is
9 days till the Premier League starts. So I'm beyond excited. That's the one thing that I'm excited most about, because I feel like too many fans of clubs have let preseason get to them, and we need the actual seasons to start now to actually be able to
Sure.
see how these transfers perform and how much they're actually going to do. So yeah, I'm just waiting for the Premier League to start, to be fair, and all the other leagues around Europe as well, to be fair. So yeah, excited but impatient.
Next week is going to be a busy week for all of us. I'll tell you
Mm.
that. Kieran, how you doing, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I feel the same as Darius. The only thing I suppose I'm a bit concerned about is how much travelling we've been doing in pre-season. 3 different countries. I suppose Scotland isn't that bad, but Korea and now we're off to Israel. It's the only thing that concerns me is maybe some of those players will have jet lag first day of season. Hopefully not. We might need the home fans to pick the players up in that first game, but yeah, I suppose our fans will make noise as always.
Big up, Kieran. Yeah, hopefully they'll make noise as always, like you said. Sean Hurl with the super chat already. Big up, Sean. Appreciate it, my friend. And he says, non-Spurs, not what I signed up for. I know it's going to be a disappointment, but plenty of you guys I know out there love looking at, what's going on beyond, kind of the Spurs world. I'll probably give a disclaimer. There might be a Spurs, transfer included here, when it comes to, these sort of transfer battles and these transfer discussions. Don't you worry, Sean. But we will be kind of branching out from the Spurs world, which I think this channel, I really always have a lot of fun with, where we can talk Spurs when we want to. Then we can talk what else is going out there in the football world, just as a bit of, kind of therapy for the rest of us. But Sean, hopefully you enjoy it. I know you will, because you're a clever man yourself. And I bet you even have, 5 transfers up your sleeve that you could probably counter us with, Sean. So I'm looking forward to what you have to offer in the chat, brother, but really do appreciate it, my man. Let's greet a bit of the Flat Cap Army before we get started. We have Elias in the chat saying this is where the fun begins. Big up to everyone. Big up, Elias. He's looking forward to it. We have Aman Arnasia, and he seems like he's looking forward to it as well. Big up, Aman. Botter THFC, absolute legend out there, saying big up, everyone. Good to see you. Welsh guy in the house saying big up, Jack. Super panel. Darius looks like a boxer.
I'm not
It's
going to
my
lie. I was going to say I
my
love his
dressing gown.
tribute, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of what boxer had like the hood up
it's,
before.
it's sadly not a tribute. It's sadly the fact that I genuinely couldn't be bothered to find any suitable clothes to wear, and I just wanted to, come and bring the chill vibes with the chill dressing gown. So I only wear this when I'm feeling chill on the stream. So it's a special occasion when I'm wearing this. And to be fair with you, I might be able to find something else that you might be happy about, Jack, but I'm not gonna promise anything too soon. So I'm just gonna keep my mouth closed and carry on, but maybe have something else in store too.
Perhaps later, Welsh guy, whatever he's looking for, he might not be able to type later because he'll have his self-defense, kind of gloves on. There you go, Welsh gal. And hopefully you're just enjoying the stream with a nice, kind of summer IPA, because Welsh gal, I know, enjoy the IPAs, but geez, especially it's so hot over there. I feel like, just got to relax with something, a bit lighter, but hopefully you got something nice and refreshing alongside your Welsh gal. Appreciate all your support as well. Bobby K in the house saying big up Jack, Darius, and Kieran, everyone in the chat. Good to see you, Bobby K. 3 Spurs boys. Absolute legend of a channel. Good to see you, Bobby K. We also have Patty Higgins saying, all right, lads, hope you're all keeping well. Looking forward to seeing the Roma match. That's the one that's going to give us a benchmark of where we're at. We're probably going to see close to, the starting lineup, you could say, maybe for that Southampton game as well. We might get a bit of an insight as to who Conte is maybe really putting his trust in, Patty Higgins as well. So that will be really interesting as well. I'm pretty sure Conte is not going to, let, Mourinho get too many goals past him, or even he'd probably be upset to even see Mourinho score on him at all. I think Conte might take this preseason game more seriously than the other ones. Big up, Patty. Good to see you. And then just making sure I'm not missing anybody. No, we haven't. Everybody, while you're in here, if you haven't already, do smash that like button. But we are going to get started. We have picked 5 transfers that we think are sort of our favorite transfers, maybe for sentimental reasons, maybe because we think it's really good business, probably a mix of kind of it all. But we are going to start with maybe the center backs, because I think that is maybe a good place to start, kind of build from the back out. And we have had 3 selections here made by myself, Darius, and Kieran. Kieran has gone for Schlotterbeck, who has moved from Freiburg to Dortmund. Darius has gone for Gleison Bremer, who has moved from Torino to Juventus. And I have gone for the big man, or I probably should say the less than 6 foot height man, Jules Koundé, who has gone from Sevilla to Barcelona. Might as well start from left to right here. Kieran, Schlotterbeck, give us your reasoning. Favorite transfer for center backs?
Yeah, look, I think, with Dortmund in the past, we've seen them kind of sign, I suppose, well, in recent history, we've seen them sign in some of these younger players and then developing them and bring them through. But generally, they're kind of players that you wouldn't have heard of, or maybe aren't coming off big seasons. But I think that over the next few seasons, they really need to try and close that gap to Bayern if they really want to kind of be competitive within their own league. And really just strengthen as well, so they can compete potentially in Europe as well. And I think that Schlotterbeck was probably one of the best defenders in the Bundesliga last season, or kind of up there with the best. So I think that the fact that they've managed to go out there and beat other clubs, not only in Germany, but across Europe to his signing, because there was interest from around Europe in Schlotterbeck. So I just feel like this is, for 18 million as well, I feel like this is a good deal, a player that will continue developing at Dortmund. And actually, I'm forgetting about the
He's
other
back
player.
3 and back 4 kind of fluent as well, which I think is why probably he had so many suitors when you really look at it. He wasn't just a back 4 sort of player. He can play in the back 3, which is why Spurs even wanted him at one stage.
Well, this is the reason I think this is a good sign as well, is because they've got Niklas Süle from obviously Bayern on a free. Yep. So, I feel like those two coming in the team, I think that will strengthen their defence quite a lot. And obviously we know that they've got players with a bit of quality going further up the pitch. So, yeah, for me, I just think the price, the potential and how far it's going to help push that defence, I think this is a great signing.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing I would say with the Schlotterbeck one is that for the price that they got him in for, considering, how many people were probably, going in after him, or at least how many people were interested, certainly, it's good business. I don't think they really paid too much for Schlotterbeck. Still has plenty of years ahead of him. I know he wants to get into the German national team as well. This was a fabulous move for his own career, I think, to get into the German national team. And then, like you said, the combination of, maybe him, Mats Hummels, and Akanji, I think could be actually, or not Mats Hummels, Zula, like you said, him, Niklas Süle, Akanji, and Schlotterbeck, I think could be a really interesting sort of combo, especially if they went for a back 3. But Darius, you've gone for Gleison Bremer, probably the big kind of marquee signing of center backs in the Serie A. Why are you so impressed, and why is this one your favorite?
Yeah, I will say, Kieran, you kind of had me tied, because Schlotterbeck was probably close to my first choice as well. And I thought, yeah, with the price tag for me and the quality of play, that's what I've sort of used as my criteria for this video. And I sort of look at the price tag, look at the quality of play, and then the impact he's going to have. And I do think Schlotterbeck probably ticks all those boxes. But with Bremer, I think going a bit under the radar, Juventus need a serious defensive rebuild from, I would say, goalkeeper all the way through the back 4, back 3, whatever they decide to do. And this is a great start, in my opinion. You get the guy who was the best centre-back in Serie A last season. I think he was as well. He won the award, and I think he was. I think I watched a few games, not that many. I'm not going to lie and say I watched loads of Bremer, but I sort of wanted to see what he was like. I watched clips of him on YouTube, and I saw that he's a very, very dominant, aggressive centre-back. And in a league like that, he's going to just look a level above. I think he would still look good in any other league across Europe, but with the way that Serie A has played, I think he looks a lot better as well. So I think it's a great start for this rebuild of defence that Juve needs. I mean, you look at who he's going to partner with, and Bonucci, Rugani, and I don't think that's the quality that Juventus should be reaching to. And I think they do need to go and get another centre back. But yeah, for me, 25 years old, 30 million pounds for the best centre back last season. I would say that, yeah, for me that was a good sign for you for Juve, and also the fact that they took them he took them off Inter quite easy, well not easily, but I would say in the way that they stole him off Inter was quite, I think, a big sign to show that they are still Juventus and they are still probably one of, if not the biggest club in Italy, next to the Milan clubs. So yeah, to see obviously they've not won the league in a couple of years, and him still want to join that club, and they've got the likes of Zakaria and Vlahovic and Locatelli as well, who's been signed permanently this summer as well. I think they're building a good team again. It's sad to see what happened to Pogba with his injury. It looks like he might be out till 2023 with that injury. So yeah, I think they were building in the right direction. I think that defensive rebuild is so needed, and Bremer's a good place to start. So if they continue with that quality of defender, I think Juve will have that old school 2011 12-13 Juve defense again. So yeah, I think it's a good signing all around. And I think all three of these signings, regardless, are great signings for the clubs, just for the importance of that backline needed. That all these clubs needed a defensive revamp, and these are some of the top centre backs to go and get that. So yeah, I think they're all good choices. And for me, yeah, Bremer, just because of sort of where he is and how he stayed in Italy.
Yeah, to be fair, and he's continuing. I'm going to kind of use that logic. A really top center back that has moved, to another club with the league that he's done so well in already. I think there's kind of good logic behind that. Same thing with Schlotterbeck. He's done the same thing. Has moved to a better club in a league that he's done.
So is Koundé,
really
to be fair.
So is Koundé. I'm about to use that logic. I think we've all come from decent kind of basis there with Bremer, to kind of back you. I must say they needed that center back signing. Clearly, the fact that they've gotten rid of De Ligt is just a huge loss. And then as well, like with Rugani, like you said, Bonucci, I don't think they're going to take back Demiral. I think Demiral has moved to Atalanta permanently. They kind of have a bit of a crisis in the back line, if you ask me, unless I'm kind of missing somebody for that back line. I feel like they need to sign another center back, unless I'm mistaken. But
says they signed a 24-year-old Federico Gatti. I'm not too sure who he is, but they signed him this summer as well for 4 million euros from, it looks like, Frosinone. But again, I'm not expecting a player from Frosinone to come in and be a starter.
There might be a bit
of a might be
a center back crisis. Is there a center back crisis at Juventus? I mean,
100%. Looking at transfer marks and their centre backs, the only ones that transfer marks have put down here are Bonucci, Bremer, this Federico Gatti, and Daniele Rugani. So that to me is a crisis. Definitely a crisis.
Yeah, definitely a crisis down there. And, then again, just to piggyback further, to carry it on to mind with Jules Koundé, I think there is a center back crisis over at Barcelona. Maybe I might be. No, I'm not going to start with my super hot take. Might as well just start with the logic. Kind of here. With Jules Koundé, if you ask me, probably one of center back. The best La Liga center backs for like the past 2 seasons. I could argue the past 3 seasons, but when he did come into Sevilla in like 2019-20, which was the season that they actually ended up winning the Europa League. So the season he came in to that Sevilla side was the season they defeated Antonio Conte's team in the Europa League final, which I think was some feat. I remember watching his whole kind of Sevilla campaign then, because I think that was kind of the era when, Sevilla were kind of, as they are, kind of, the flat track bullies of, the Europa League. And I remember just seeing this guy, Jules Koundé, come in, especially at such a young age. I think he was probably 19 or 20, at the time. And he was a starting center back as well as a right back in that Sevilla team. And I just thought that was just ridiculous to consider, what they were probably going for in that team. And it already noticed quite quickly, he was easily the best passer in that whole side, if you ask me. I think Jules Koundé could probably play center mid, for most teams, the way that he's able to kind of, hold the ball up and be able to pick out the right passes. And he's almost just a guy that's able to dictate the tempo, kind of progress the game, be able to be that kind of classic La Liga center back that's just so good on the ball. Actually, Pau Torres, of course, has a lot of similarities to Jules Koundé, but hopefully Zoe, maybe takes me, kind of, or it doesn't get too offended here. I think Jules Koundé is an even better passer than Pau Torres. I think Jules Koundé is basically the best passer. I don't even know, probably one of the best passing center backs, I think, probably in Europe. I think that's been the case for kind of some time. I know Lissandro Martinez was bought, by Man United as, really good ball playing sort of center back. But I think Jules Koundé kind of almost shits all over him when it comes to that sort of, kind of metric. I think Jules Koundé would have been a much better signing for them if they wanted to go for a short, kind of, ball playing sort of center back as well. When it comes to how good he is, I feel like he's just going to move into that Barcelona team and it's going to be like a title winning sort of kind of signing because he's basically, like I said, dominated La Liga for 3-4 years now. He's going to go into Barcelona and it's just going to fit like a glove. Him playing alongside Araujo, I feel like they've now solved that sort of center back issue, or for the longest time, it was PK alongside someone else. And then PK, if you ask me, was sort of making the other center back struggle. A lot of people don't want to admit this, but I think PK has kind of been the problem probably at Barcelona's kind of center back line. I don't think he's really ever been the world-class center back that people think he is ever since Puyol has left. I don't really find him to be a world-class center back ever, especially since Puyol has left him. I think Puyol made him look a lot better than he actually is. And that's kind of my hot take there. And so Jules Koundé coming into here, I think is just going to solve all the problems that PK has kind of created for that back line.
Sorry to cut in. Do you think it's a bit of I've always said that kind of Sergio Ramos props Varane up when they're Real Madrid in the same way that Ramos was the one who would go and win the ball, be aggressive, and Varane's job is kind of just sweep up or mop up what's left.
Varane has probably not looked as world class as he was. He looked world class for Real Madrid. Maybe he really wasn't. In fact, I think that's the same thing with PK. You're probably right. I don't know. Do you guys agree with that? Do you think PK is sort of like, I think he's one of the most overrated center backs in Europe since Puyol has left him. I think he's never looked the same. You look at kind of the center backs that have failed alongside him. You have Titi, you have Longley, you have, I think, probably another that is also at one stage not done so well alongside him. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that has more to do with, PK probably failing his counterpart than it really has to do with, kind of them just being poor center backs. But sorry, Kieran.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think, part of the problem that we have at the moment is that people overuse the term world class on players. Like world class really is they would get into any team in the world and start, but, there's about probably like 20 centre backs. People are like Brandon as like world class. And it's like, I don't know, do all of these players are all of them really world class, or are they just elite players, players that can play for elite clubs, but they're not necessarily players that would get into any team in the world. I think there's slightly a difference, but I suppose part of it is also not necessarily personalities, but like dynamics. Maybe it's just a dynamic issue where maybe PK should be the one that's just kind of sweeping and having someone a bit more aggressive next to him. But yeah.
The other thing is just think about Ronald Araujo as well. Like Ronald Araujo, I think, has looked exceptional. In that Barcelona team, has looked like a real center back for the future. He's probably more that Romero type if you really look at how he plays. Whereas then you combine him with Jules Koundé, who's just one of the best ball playing center backs. So you have your ball winner alongside someone that's one of the best ball playing center backs. And the way that Xavi likes to play, which is, again, probably the best passing, most possession-based team in all of La Liga. You just bought, the best possession-based center back in all of La Liga for the best possession-based team, which I think it's just going to fit like a glove. I know that there are other signings that they need to make. They need to get left backs. They need to get right backs. Barcelona, there's no need to be signing Lewandowski and all that other garbage, but I feel like this has been their smartest signing this summer. This is actually signing that they needed when you look at it.
They did well, to be fair, and I think, like you said, it's a no-brainer with the way that they play for Koundé to join. I do kind of feel like Sevilla really did Chelsea dirty, but then I look back at it and I think Chelsea had Koundé waiting for that signature, and he was in London, literally in London, waiting for that green light from Chelsea. So it works both ways. I think Koundé, Barcelona in general.
Burned. Yeah, I don't think
he was
a sour taste. Yeah.
Do you know
and the other
thing
thing too is that
right?
he has just, my last point is that there's no risk in the signing because I think like Alessandro Martinez, like we said before, he's moving from the Eredivisie to the Premier League, and there is that risk with how he adapts. Jules Koundé is staying in the league that he has dominated for years. he's not going to, like, him moving to the Premier League, you could probably put question marks on it. Like, will he adapt? Will he be able to make that adjustment to how it works? He's staying in the league that he's already dominated in. He's going to be playing for a team that's going to have even more possession than Sevilla does, which I think is just going to be dangerous, for him. Sorry, Kieran.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, because originally I was thinking that Sevilla did Chelsea dirty, but then, at the same point, a lot of clubs outside of Europe are more willing to sell within their own league to then selling outside, because it keeps the talent within the league and it keeps their league competitive within Europe and draws more eyes, when, ultimately that is then in return going to draw more eyes to their league, which means more money for them when they don't have the same money that we have in the Premier League. Like the Premier League is so big as well, because of the money, but because of that money, we've allowed, well, not allowed, but we have managed to bring in some of the best talents from clubs around Europe to the Premier League. It's now regarded as that league that the best players play there. It's the most competitive league with the best players. That's where the best players want to be playing. I think now a lot of clubs are more tilting to, well, why should we sell to this club that has loads of money when we could sell to another club and keep our league competitive, and hopefully down the line that'll entice some of the better players to come to our league and play for us.
Yeah, I genuinely don't even think it's the keeping the league competitive. I think you're spot on just about the Premier League side of things. I think clubs just don't want to sell to the Premier League solely because either one, if you give them a price, let's say Sevilla gave Barcelona, and they did give Barcelona a different price. I mean, 50 plus 10 is not what Chelsea offered. Chelsea offered 55, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I just think genuinely now, in the future, obviously after COVID, post-COVID, I think there's just going to be a tax. There's going to be an extra 10, 15 million on most, if not all, price tags for players in the Premier League, or players going to the Premier League, should I say. I honestly think that all these clubs now are just going to look at the Lissandro deal. I mean, I think that one is even more telling because I'm pretty sure, and again, quote me and comments, please let me know if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure he was quoted at like 35 million, 40 million euros at the start of the window. And then Ajax got a bidding war going out of Arsenal and United, and now look, he's gone for almost 55 million euros. So I do think that these clubs know that we are the league with the most money. So yeah, I do. It's difficult, man. Kieran, I think he's spot on. I think they just don't really want to sell to Premier League clubs anymore, to be honest with you.
You can't treat their wallets the same. I think that's how it is. You can't think that, they have the same purchasing power. You have to realize. And also, there could be an incentive to keep some of the talent that already is in La Liga, that already is in Serie A, is in the Bundesliga. I know you might be selling to a rival club, but there is that maybe, future factor, that future benefit of keeping, the talent that is already in your league and not just, shipping it all to the Premier League, every single time. I think we have to pick a winner here. I made a very long rant about Jules Koundé. I'll be honest, though, it's a very expensive signing. I think it's a title-winning signing, but it is a very expensive signing. Bremer is kind of cheap when you really do look at it. Like, I think especially the center back crisis that they do have, and Darius brought that up. Schlotterbeck, I'm leaning towards that one, though. I think that one might be.
I've got no problem giving.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I don't want to be a dick on stream and be like, yeah, it's mine. But
I can't lie. I don't even want to argue that, because that was going to be my first choice, and I thought, you know what? Let me just give this one to Kieran.
He's 22 as well. Like, you just think. I think if Schlotterbeck even went to Barca,
it's like a Jules Koundé signing for 18 million pounds.
Yeah, it's like the German version or the Bundesliga version.
Definitely. Well, we're giving it to Kieran. Kieran has taken the first crown there with his choices. We're moving on to right back and left back. We have the choice of picking right backs or left backs. I feel like I could potentially just go first here. I just don't know how much I have to say other than there is a Dodo fan club, and I think the Dodo fan club could possibly carry me here. I'm really looking forward to this signing, mostly because I feel like if he had gone to, I don't know, like if he had gone to the Bundesliga, if he had gone to maybe the Premier League, or, a league where maybe it's a bit more high pressure, kind of not as much time on the ball, I feel like I could have been a bit worried about Dodo because he plays for a team that's so possession dominant in kind of the league that he plays in. But the fact that he's now gone to a Serie A club or like a La Liga club, he's gone to Fiorentina, I just think it's a genius sort of kind of transfer. I think he's going to dominate actually Serie A. Actually, and this is major throwback for anybody here that's listening, I'm getting Juan Cuadrado kind of vibes from this sort of transfer. I feel like Dodo is going to be like what Juan Cuadrado was way back in the day for Fiorentina, because I think Juan Cuadrado sort of made his kind of like Serie A sort of kind of like, I don't know, like fame or kind of whatever you could say. Like he kind of made himself known originally with Fiorentina. A lot of players have kind of made their name known like originally with Fiorentina. It's a great way for kind of like an unknown sort of gem to kind of like pop out and kind of, you know, just be able to make themselves known. I feel like Dodo is just going to blow up at Fiorentina. There's kind of a trend of a lot of players that have done that in the past. We've seen it with, you know, players like, of course, of Jovetic. We've seen it, you know, with the case of, you know, Dusan Vlahovic recently. We've seen it with plenty of others. Like we said, with Juan Cuadrado, Chiesa, Bernardeschi. Some players even do so well at Fiorentina, they never do well ever again at any other club. So I feel like Dodo, it's just going to work just because the luck is there. He's one of my favorite players in world football. Some of my favorite players have all come from Fiorentina. This one is more of just using kind of sentimental kind of logic, you know, clearly. But I just think this Dodo one is just going to work out kind of fantastic. But yeah, I'm not going to win this one, but I do just feel like Dodo is just going to work perfectly, and I'm so excited to see Fiorentina this year with him and Jovic together. I feel like he will be the Juan Cuadrado down the right flank.
I think that's a good point, making reference to Jovic as well, because Dodo is getting past the man on a box, putting it into Jovic. If Jovic can do that sort of thing that he was doing in Frankfurt, where he was just in the box, penalty poaching or goal poaching almost, you know, has that level of finishing where he can finish in a 1v1 situation, I think Jovic will probably do well in Serie A. So I'm looking forward to seeing Dodo and Jovic work together, to be fair.
One of us should have gone for Perisic, Dan, but that's going to be the next series, because we're going to do free transfers. We're going to do a free transfer debate. And Kieran actually brought this idea up, actually.
I was just going to say, actually, did we mention that we're not allowed to use free
not.
transfers? We didn't.
Maybe
Yeah,
we'll
so this is just paid transfers, so people know, because otherwise that would have been in there. That was,
no brainer, isn't it?
That was why I had to ask Jack as well, like, should we not use free transfer? Because otherwise, you know.
Yeah, everything might end up being a free transfer, especially because this
well.
was the biggest year for free transfers as well. I believe this was the biggest season.
Well, Jesse Lingard would have been on my list if we did include free transfers. So unfortunately, we can't.
But yeah, that was my Dodo argument. Probably a bit underwhelming, but very sentimental. Dodo fan club, please carry me. Mukiele, we've gone to Darius here. 10.8 freaking million pounds.
That's probably the main reason. I think most people, I hope, know of Mukiele. I think he's been consistently a very consistent player for RB Leipzig. He seems to be one of those players where he never was the Szoboszlai, he never was the Nkunku, he never was the Konrad Laimer. He never really was seen as that main cog in a team. And I do feel like he excels and he plays well in multiple positions. And I think that's a very big testament to players. If you could play centre mid and right back and left back almost the same quality, I think that makes a very, very good player. And for PSG and sort of the way PSG are going now and the project that PSG seem to be, you know, manning at the moment, it seems like he would be a perfect fit. I'm pretty sure he's only 24 years old, I think. So he might be even younger, to be fair with you. He's a fantastic player. He didn't score many goals and get many assists, but I think in terms of work ethic and just all-round game ability, he's just going to fit in perfectly. And even if he doesn't, you know, start above Hakimi, which I don't think he will, I think he could play centre mid for PSG quite well. I think that centre mid in that central midfield in PSG needs upgrading. Maybe he might not be that perfect upgrade. I know they've obviously signed Vitinha as well, but I do think, just in terms of that player who can play multiple positions at or near the same level, for 10.8 million pounds is ridiculous, to be fair. And like I said, for PSG to get that price is quite smart. And that was the big seller for me, like on why sort of I mentioned about clubs not wanting to sell to Premier League clubs as much, because PSG have the money, but they still managed to get Mukiele for such a cheap deal. I don't think Manchester United, who I believe were linked with him at one stage, would have got Mukiele for 10.8 million unless it was a release clause. So I think the price is probably the main factor as to why I've chose that. And obviously we all know the quality of Nordi Mukiele. So I'm very happy that You
think he could come in to play center back? Because I think you guys have both gone for players that more likely might be coming in to play center back.
Another centre back choice as well. I forgot that he could play centre back as well. that's another thing. That's 4 positions here that I think he can play quite well. And again, I'm not too sure what's happening with PSG's centre back dealings in the summer. I know Skriniar might still be, an option for them,
Maybe
but
this is the Skriniar signing that
yeah,
they've just decided to go for 10.8 million pounds, and he
yeah,
could play the right wing back spot if needed. I also feel like with Kimpembe, I think they're showing Kimpembe the door.
Mm.
Maybe Marquinhos moves to the left-sided center back, and then Mukiele plays as the right-sided center back, kind of covers for Hakimi when he makes those kind of bursting runs. That could be an interesting way to go about it if they were to continue with that back four.
I think he's, again, like I said, I think in terms of overall player quality for price, for the amount of positions you can probably get out of him, this is a great signing from PSG. And most of their signings this season have been way different to what they do before. So hopefully, like I said, this is just a first of many seasons and windows where PSG changed that philosophy, and I think it would do them a world of good as well.
Do you know what I was going to say this? To be honest, it's why I kind of like the Mukiele signing, purely because they've kind of changed the way that they've done their transfer business. Before, they would just go out and buy names, or big brand. Well, I say brand in quotations, but big brand players or big name players that you kind of go, they're gone for him. Or that's kind of an exciting one. That's going to sell a few shirts. But this season, or this window, half of their signings, I know they've only made 4 signings so far, but 2 of them have been young French players. And I think realistically, when, you want to win the Champions League, I suppose it's hard to go from the Liga, which is probably one of the, as a complete whole, is probably one of the more lesser competitive leagues across the season, to then jump into Champions League and expect players to be like, "Oh, that's it."
When it comes to it,
I think it might be hard for some players, especially bigger name players, to now just switch to go. Whereas I think if you bring some young players through who want to prove themselves and want to kind of help a French club along, I think that'll make a difference long term. Ekatike as well has gone there as well. Like Darius said, I just think that the change in their philosophy is why I like this signing, and I think it'll actually help them in the long term.
Yeah, interesting, actually. Interesting. And, with Mukiele, I feel like he'll come in to play more of a center back if Darius, I know you kind of made that case, that you can play all over the pitch, but I could see him playing center back with, kind of what center back options do they really have once Kimpembe, goes. I'm not really too knowledgeable of all their center backs. I know they have Diallo. Apart from that, I don't know, it's like Diallo, Kimpembe, Marquinhos. That's what I can kind of think of. So maybe Danilo
Sergio
Pereira
Ramos and Tilo Carroll are the only ones else.
Yeah, and some of those guys are being shown the door, this summer. So I think
Do you think Ramos is going to play? Sorry to interrupt you, but do you think Ramos is going to play given the injuries that he had last season?
I feel like he's going to be shown the door if he gets the opportunity. Perhaps he just sticks around just because they're kind of forced to keep him around in kind of a Neymar-like situation.
I actually think he'll stay this. I think he'll stay this year at least. I think if he struggles with injury this season, then they'll just show him the door. But I think this season they'll give him a chance to recover from that. I think even just to kind of be, even if he's not playing as much football, just to kind of be one of those players that's had the experience of winning things like the Champions League, who can help maybe some of these younger players that they're now bringing through. I think, they'll keep him just for a bit of balance in the changing room.
Yeah. Calvin Bassey, what are your thoughts, Kieran? He has been, brought from Rangers. He had a spectacular Europa League campaign. He is pretty versatile as well, kind of like Mukiele. Why have you gone for this one?
Look, I mean, he is predominantly kind of like a left back in the Europa League for Rangers, but he has also played at centre back for them and can play as centre back. And the reason I went for this, I know it's a lot more than, well, I say a lot more, but I know it's a pricier one out of the 3 options or the other 2 options, but I think that this is the replacement for Martinez, who's just gone to United. They've sold him for 51.7 million, and they've brought in Bassey for 20.7. So they've made 31 million pounds. And then brought in someone that's more physical, younger, faster. I think has shown the potential in the Europa League last season that they can maybe across the coming seasons take a step on and be an even better player. So for me, that's kind of why I chose this. It's just interesting for me. Okay, yeah, he's predominantly left back, but probably going to shift him a little bit more infield, and be that replacement to Martinez for way cheaper. I think actually has a higher ceiling than Martinez. If he continues on from last season, can push. I mean, he's 2 years younger. So yeah, for me, I thought that this was the most interesting move. I didn't expect him to go to Ajax either, which I suppose is why I found it interesting. I thought, if anything, he might have gone to, like an Aston Villa or like someone in lower down in the Premier League. But yeah, no, to go to Ajax kind of took me by surprise.
Sean Hurl saying Bassi and Bergwijn with net spend 0. Well done, Ajax. Yeah, I mean, they've had a bit of money, to play with, and they didn't go as far in the Champions League, with Benfica knocking them out. So they couldn't really make as much coin as they probably would have liked. If they had progressed, I think, an extra round, I think that probably would have helped them, with maybe some transfer funds. If you ask me, though, Sean, the Bergwijn transfer, I think it's their most expensive ever, incoming. I think they really overpaid for Bergwijn. We'll see how it goes, though, for them. The Bassi transfer, I think, is an exceptional transfer because he just kind of has Ajax kind of written all over him with how, kind of positionally versatile he is. And, I think Kieran, made this point, but, he could maybe come in as sort of a better Lisandro Martinez.
Do you know the thing as well? He says net spend 0, but they sold Haller, so they've like nearly doubled, tripled the money that incoming that they've actually spent. So it's not even just selling Martinez has paid for Bassi and Bergwijn. It's like it's paid for Bassi and then but also Haller could have paid for both of them near enough in those fees as well. So they're actually making money this window. But contrast to, I actually think Bergwijn will probably do well there. I think but I don't know. Obviously, we'll have a contrast.
We're going to have to pick a winner here. Gonna have to pick a winner. Dodo, well, passionate, didn't really involve many stats, didn't really involve much, logic, apart from, pretty much just sheer love for the guy. So, if you want to give it to me for that one, you're welcome to. Calvin Bassi seems to be, one that a lot of people are leaning towards, but I would say Mukiele, I find to actually just be the best deal whatsoever.
I was going to say Mukiele as well, but purely because you wanted me to vote for Dodo, so I'm going to go against you.
I think that's with Mukiele, I think it's a 50 million euro player. It's a 40 million euro player that's gone for 10.8 million pounds, which is
he must have had a year left on his contract. That's the only reason I can suggest that he was so low.
There was rumours going around him. I can't remember who it was. So it was a Premier League club. Might have even been us, but it was like 25 million pounds was like the rumour, and that was like at the beginning of the summer.
Wow. That's
so
ridiculous.
They really don't like us Premier League clubs, do they? They want to squeeze every penny out of us.
I just think for the price, Mukiele is probably one that is going to work out long term. I think even if it doesn't, you sell him on they probably sell him on for more than that anyway. So I think it's kind of a no-brainer. If Calvin Bassi or Dodo don't work out, do those clubs sell them for more money than they paid for them? No. It's arguable, but I think Mukiele is one that even if it doesn't work out, there will still be clubs willing to take a risk even at the price PSG have paid.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. It's a really good point. Yeah. Moving on to midfielders. This is a good selection. Probably some, good debates here. We have, the glamorous and the very talented midfielders of Gravenberch and Basuma. And then we have the very, 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 I would say, well, kind of, thought and maybe cheap as well as kind of efficient signing of Xaver Schlager. I don't want to go first here. I'd kind of rather go last or second. So
save
Darius,
the best for last, is it, Jack?
Yeah, I kind of have a good one here for Xaver Schlager. Darius, would you like to go first? Or Kieran, would you like to go first with Basuma?
I don't mind, to be fair. Fair, yeah. I mean, again, Kieran, I don't know if you were, reading my mind when we were going through these, but Basuma was probably my second choice, maybe even my first choice, and I might not have wanted to choose him solely for the Tottenham bias that I might be accused of, but I actually do think that Gravenberch is the best deal out of those players, solely because I think he's the best player, or if not, he's very close to Basuma. Basuma probably is the best player as he's proven it in the Premier League, so I will say Basuma is the best player, but Gravenberch has very similar qualities to Bissouma. Maybe lacks in that defensive side, but in terms of creativity and going forward, Gravenberch is the modern centre mid. And I think, again, for Bayern Munich to snap up Ryan Gravenberch for £16 million, that sort of foolproofs your midfield for the next 10 years minimum. And like you said about Mukiele in the last slide, you probably get even if Gravenberch was to have a major flop for 2 seasons, I think you could still probably get more than £16 million for him. So I just, again, foolproof price wise. I don't know how they do it. I genuinely don't know how they do it, because I saw Gravenberch being quoted at 60 million to Man United when they were potentially linked with him. So for him to go for £16 million, the quality of him, the age and the price, Bayern Munich have got pretty much that midfield sorted for the next 10 years.
Like a Goretzka replacement, and I never even
and
thought
he's still
that was
there.
possible.
And he's still there, so they could play both of them. And I dread to think how Goretzka and Gravenberch would destroy many midfields in the Bundesliga, let alone the Champions League as well. I think that's a statement signing, and it's also a signing that secures your future, and it's also a signing that you could make money on. I don't think there's anything wrong with this signing. And yeah, again, I could probably say the same for both of these signings as well as Leipzig. This is Leipzig's only signing. I think it sort of does improve them crazily. And Bissouma, we all know how much Bissouma is going to, improve our squad. So yeah, for me, I've just kind of looked at the price, the quality, and the club that they've managed. How Bayern Munich have managed to get that fee is beyond me. And I just think it's a genius transfer from them. The Mane one's a genius transfer as well for the price, but this kid is not 29 years old. I can't remember how old exactly he is, but I don't think he's older than 22, is he? So
he is 21 or 20.
I'm not too, he was born 2002, so he's 20 years old. I mean, for crying out loud, that
popping up to Sar's age, basically. Yeah.
That I'm not going to say anything else for that. I didn't realize he was 20 years old. So yeah, for me, there's nothing I think you can fault about this Ryan Gravenberch signing, which is why I think it's the best one.
I actually would say the part that maybe is missed here is the fact that Bayern have probably lost Champions League games in the past by Goretzka not being fit or Goretzka not being available. They had to go with a different midfield combination, and there is no other Goretzka in the team. With Gravenberch not being in the team, I feel like they have like sort of someone who can bring something very similar to what Goretzka does in a team. So I'm actually really interested in this, especially if Gravenberch gets the same, kind of fitness trainer, as Goretzka too. I think that would be, exceptional, because then you would just have, two just carbon copies of each other, in the team alongside, already the very, bolsterous midfield that they have. This Gravenberch signing, I think, was exceptional. I feel like they need to get another signing. I think they need to bring in Konrad Laimer, which is, debatable about whether that is actually going to go through. But this is unbelievable. I did hear, though, somebody try to make some ridiculous logic that, that this wasn't really as good of a signing as people like to think. But I feel like that's just overthinking it. I really do feel like this is an exceptional signing. But move on to Bissouma here, unless, you have any thoughts about Gravenberch, Kieran.
Yeah, no, I'd just add on. I think for the price, they couldn't really go wrong. I think this is potentially a great signing. Obviously a player that a lot of people have been raving about, not necessarily even just us, but other people that don't watch as much of other leagues have seen this guy play, have raved on about him, in the very few minutes that they've watched of him. So, the people that have watched him for a little bit longer will tell you even more how good a signing this is for Bayern, or potentially is. And I think just, again, the price, he wouldn't have gone to Premier League club for that cheap. Not to keep pushing that agenda that the clubs don't want to sell to Premier League clubs.
I think it needs to be made every time. That's where you're now looking at. Not a lot of the best deals have been made by Premier League clubs, but your deal has been made by a Premier League club, by your own club, in fact, Tottenham Hotspur. Bissouma, tell us.
Yeah, like Darius said at the beginning, I was really trying not to include Tottenham signings. I was like, look, we've probably spoken about Tottenham signings or players we want to see Tottenham sign. So I thought I'll try and not, put these in, but I couldn't resist not putting this one in, to be honest. I mean, Bissouma and Højbjerg, over the last 2 seasons have been the players that have made the most tackles and interceptions in the Premier League.
Wow.
And I think obviously when we've got the likes of Bentancur and Skip, I think Basuma is one that, you know, when you consider Højbjerg over 2 seasons has already played 100 games for us, you know, which is absolutely mental. I think Basuma coming in gives you a player who's got a little bit more quality, you know, potentially going forward, especially. And I think for the price, you know, if he doesn't have as little as he did in his contract, he's going for 40, 50 million. You know, so I think the price we've got him as, the fact it allows us to actually bring out Højbjerg and rotate him and not kill him, I think it's also a player that adds to our starting 11. And I think a player that also helps force out some of the other players in midfield that in previous seasons, because we didn't have quality in depth, we've had to keep around, like, you know, Winks and Lo Celso and Ndombele, who, you know, players just aren't going to work out at the club. We've had to keep them around because we had no one else. Whereas I think this Basuma signing changes that now, where we've got 4 players in midfield that you look at and kind of go, okay, cool, we don't really need too many more than these guys. You know, maybe an attacking player or a creative player, but, you know, generally in those deeper central positions, I think this signing pushes us forward quite a lot. And I think we've probably beat, you know, I think a lot of clubs would have been interested if that price was put public, that, okay, this is what they're willing to sell for. I think a lot more clubs would have bitten the hand off Brighton to get the sign done. So for me, I think this is my favourite deal by far.
Interesting.
Not biased.
It's so hard to argue. I don't know
think
how
there
we
really
signed
is
him.
any bias. A lot of people who aren't Spurs fans has put this as one of the best signings of the entire transfer window, you know, hands down.
Like, why didn't Liverpool make such an effort to go for him when their midfield, obviously their midfield isn't the worst, but I don't think Liverpool's midfield is better than ours at the moment. And
he gets into most Premier League teams. He gets into the starting 11 of most top 4 teams. He gets into Chelsea's right now. Easily gets into Chelsea's.
Thank
he
you
gets
for reminding me.
Yeah.
Right. City just bought Calvin Phillips for 45 million.
Much better signing, Basuma.
You know,
yeah.
And that was actually the main reason I did pick it when I was trying not to pick Tottenham players. I was like, I can't ignore it when Calvin Phillips has gone to City for 45
for double
million.
the price, nearly, almost.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was.
And I understand, obviously, you mentioned about the contracts being a year, but that's smart business. That should be included. That shouldn't be, you know, taken away from the transfer dealings. I think that should be included when you're mentioning good deals. If you're looking for a player with a year left, it's a great deal.
I actually think it's even better that this, realistically, ignoring the price, is a marquee signing. If we said last season, right, at the end of the season, we're signing Basuma, I think we all would have been excited. You know, 100%. Even before we heard the price, you bring in the price, and now you're just sitting there going, how have we pulled that off?
I know. And it's it's almost like we've got good enough midfielders anyway with Bentancur and Højbjerg, and we've added him. It's not like we needed him desperately. We've added him to an already very good midfield, in my opinion. I can't.
If you're going to look at price for the quality, it's one of the best signings I think we've made in like my lifetime. I would say, like, genuinely my lifetime.
A long time.
A top 4 midfielder, walks into most teams into the Premier League, just walks right into it. He practically walked into ours. He walks into Chelsea's. Liverpool's, you could see him, you know, making, you know, a claim for himself, because the whole point with Basuma is he doesn't need to play defensive midfield. He can play, you know, a different position. He can play as a number 8. He can play, you know, even a bit higher up if you want him to. You know, he can play more of a box to box sort of role. Like, he is just a fantastic footballer. Whereas when you look at Højbjerg, like, Højbjerg is a fantastic defensive midfielder. But whereas, is he really a fantastic footballer? I don't know. I think he is a fantastic defensive midfielder. He's fantastic engine, fantastic work rate, has a good eye for the game. But like, Basuma is genuinely like close. He's not a world-class midfielder yet, but I think at one stage Basuma could be a world-class midfielder. And I think we have signed basically a guy who has still the potential to become a world-class midfielder for 27 million pounds.
He has that mentality, doesn't he, about him? You know, so when he had that interview back at Brighton, and he's basically said, like, but I'm the best midfielder in the Premier League. You know, and he actually believes he is the best midfielder in the Premier League. And, you know, I think he has the right mentality to go and put that to work and try and prove people why he believes himself.
Sure, definitely. Well, sadly, that's not going to stand the test. To Xaver Schlager, everybody.
On to the forwards.
With Schlager, you just have to look at the price, 10.8 million pounds, absolute, pennies to a team like Leipzig. Konrad Laimer is expected to be leaving by the looks of things. And when you really look at, that entire Leipzig midfield, when I did kind of do a bit of digging, there's nobody in that team who can actually win the ball. You have Kevin Campbell, who's more of kind of, a tempo sort of setter, maybe, a guy that just likes to kind of sort of run the game, not really a ball winner. Konrad Laimer was more or less their ball winner in that team. That Tyler Adams, who could also kind of, win the ball in midfield if they needed a guy to do that too. They've lost him. I think Amadou Haidara has been constantly kind of leaked, to be leaving the club as well. He could be out the club. So when you really look at things, and that's really just the extent of their midfield, they don't really have many other midfield options, apart from that when it comes to actual midfield ball winners. And Xaver Schlager has been exceptional in that regard in the Bundesliga for quite some time. I am going to bring up maybe just a bit of cheating because I do need to make a convincing argument here. These are his FB ref stats, and this is comparing him to all of Europe's top 5 leagues of midfielders. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. The man is an absolute menace defensively. They basically have signed the best defensive midfielder, at least from the last 2 seasons, in my regard, in the Bundesliga. If they lose Konrad Laimer, they were going to be absolutely effed. Leipzig would have been the easiest team to be able to play through if they had lost Konrad Laimer. They have replaced Konrad Laimer with the other Austrian Konrad Laimer, which I think is an exceptional signing. I feel like Xaver Schlager, is he as good as Konrad Laimer with what Konrad Laimer does? Maybe not, but he's actually really similar. I think he does a lot of things. If you've ever seen him play, just with your own kind of seeing eye test, if you've ever seen this guy play, he plays really similar to kind of Konrad Laimer. He's a really good ball carrier, kind of despite, the stats maybe not helping him out there. But when it comes to defensive output, this guy is an absolute menace. The fact that he also is getting over 5 tackles and interceptions per 90 as well, which I think is pretty much the standard baseline for like an elite sort of midfielder. That's what Basuma is getting as well. I'm pretty sure Basuma is getting kind of similar numbers in that regard. Xaver Schlager, 10.8 million pounds. They've signed the defensive midfielder that they've been needing for years. I think Leipzig will look a lot better actually with the signing now, especially again, if Konrad Laimer leaves. If Konrad Laimer stays, still an exceptional signing because he plays alongside him in the Austrian national team. So they're probably quite comfortable playing next to each other. They still have Kevin Campbell. They still have other players like Danny Olmo, but with so much kind of midfield kind of creativity in that Leipzig team, I feel like they have enough creativity. They don't have enough steel in that midfield. So I think they've done that with Xaver Schlager, and they've covered it for 10.8 million pounds. And like I said, basically one of the best ball winners in Europe from last season. End of speech.
I honestly didn't know how good his stats were. I've seen a bit, again, I've not really watched him, to be fair. Didn't know he was that good defensively. If he can replicate that for Leipzig, even like you said, even with Laimer, that would be like probably the ultimate duo you could play to shut out like a Bayern Munich, for example. If you wanted to really, stop that ball,
if you wanted to outwork any midfield in Europe, you could put Xaver Schlager.
And I absolutely love Tedesco. You know what? I might make a little bit of a hot take, and this may go against me as well because I absolutely love Dortmund. Dortmund is probably my second favorite club, but I genuinely think the fact that Leipzig have kept Nkunku and Gvardiol this summer, hopefully, fingers crossed, well for them. I think they probably have a better chance at winning the league than Dortmund do, or at least challenging Bayern Munich. Just because Domenico Tedesco only lost 5 games out of the 30 that he's managed.
If he keeps Laimer, if he keeps Konrad Laimer, he could definitely win the league.
Yeah, if he keeps Laimer, Szoboszlai, and Nkunku and Gvardiol, and they've added Xaver Schlager, that's a very good team. And if they don't get any worse, I don't really see, how they won't be second place, because Dortmund have a lot of players to bed in. They're great players, Dortmund have, but
and a new manager
to bed in. And Terzic is coming back, so it may not be smooth sailing. So yeah, that's probably my big hot take. I think Leipzig may put more of a title challenge than Dortmund this season.
This was just the most necessary signing I could have ever seen Leipzig ever make. This was like a glaring hole that I've noticed in their team for years. And I think they finally fixed it, and they've done it for much less money than I actually thought they needed to, or actually thought it would take more money. Excuse me.
Yeah, to be honest, I haven't. I've not really watched Schlager at all. when you put this name in the chat yesterday of saying like who you'd picked, I was like, okay, you're gonna have to try and tell me why this is a good signing because I don't know.
I've seen
why,
the
but
Austrian national
yeah.
team kind of quite aplenty, and this is why I'm so impressed with him, because that Austrian national midfield, I think, is kind of so underrated. You have Konrad Leimer, Zaberschlager, and then Florian Grilic is sort of that kind of deep lying kind of midfield trio. And it is such a hard working midfield, as well. So that's why I kind of know a lot about them. And I am kind of a bit of a Bundesliga fan, as I think people know. So I have seen plenty of Schlager. So this is why I think it's exceptional. I think he's one of the best midfielders in the Bundesliga for some time. In fact, crazy hot take here. The season that Endo went off for Stuttgart, I think Schlager was probably putting up, the same numbers, and nobody realized, he's just one of those guys that just kind of has gone under the radar, I think, for a long time over at Wolfsburg. I'm not sure on his age, but I'm pretty sure he's like 24, 25 years old as well. So this is just, I don't know. This is just exceptional signing, if you ask me. I'm definitely taking the crown on this one. I'm sorry. Just, no excuses.
24.
Whatsoever.
He's 25 very soon, but yeah, he's 24 years old. That's good age as well. How old is Lima? Lima's older than that, I'm pretty sure, isn't he? So yeah.
I think Lima's 24. I think.
Jeez,
Lima's only 24.
They're identical twins.
Yeah.
They're identical twins. They literally replaced. End of discussion. They replaced Konrad Leimer with Konrad Leimer. End of discussion. That's basically what they've done here. And a left-footed Konrad Leimer as well, but sexy.
Yeah, I mean, left footers always look better. As a left foot myself,
Yeah, it does look better. It does look.
You know what? I was actually gonna take that until you said you were left foot yourself. Then I realized it's just propaganda that he's running for himself. It's his own agendas. It's his own agenda.
Gravenberch is left footed.
By path of dictatorship and by path of totalitarian sort of kind of nature, I've given myself the crown there. So it seems like we're all level on ones. So we're going to forwards, and we have two different forwards to compare here. I thought this would be a better comparison than the one that we went for later, because Darius and I kind of copied each other on the next one. So I think that would probably be fairer to Kieran. And I think we probably put up a better argument, for the next one.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys. I literally scrolled through
Darius, with the one that Kieran put up, I think you and I we're almost going to battle against him, in case he wins this one, because he could win this one.
I picked the next one. I picked the next one as a hot take. I was like, I can't just pick all like the easy names. I got to put someone in there that I'm gonna have to make an argument for.
I agree. I've done the same.
To be fair,
I think he's gone for an exceptional signing here too. I think this one Kieran could take, as much as I love, Kavica, Kvaradona, as we put here. But I don't know, Kieran, would you want to go first? Would you rather I go first, or?
Well, I'll let someone else take it, but before I let someone else take theirs first, because I think I went first last. No, I didn't, but I'll let someone else go first anyway. But I was just going to pick Kvicha, but then again, I seen your list, Jack, and I was like, I'll pick someone different. And then that's why I went for the hot take in the next one. But if I'm going to be fighting you two, I might need to think about what I'm actually going to say, because I just put it in as like a hot take.
I went first, to be fair, last time, so I do want Jack to wax lyrical about, because we all love him. Let's not lie. Like, we all love him as much as we probably can't pronounce his name. We all love him. So I want to hear Jack wax lyrical, to be fair with you. So I'm all ears, mate. Go ahead. It's
gonna be similar to the Dodo argument. It's gonna be a lot of sentimental kind of logic here, but Kavica, Kvaratskhelia, or Kavica, Kvaradona, as the Georgians like to say, the Georgian fan base, which has shown this channel a lot of love. I just could not have, this guy had to be included. He had to be included, especially for the fact that he went for less than 10 million pounds. The fact that there's a single digit number there is just stupid. I think he genuinely is probably out there as top 5 dribblers in Europe. I know he hasn't exactly played, in Europe's top 5 leagues yet. And so it probably is a hot take to even put him there already. But, the Georgian fan base have been kind enough to basically be sending me nonstop videos and highlight reels of him playing against, the big club or the big international teams like Spain, Portugal, Germany. And you can see this kid just doing the same thing that he does to Russian defenders as he does to Busquets. He does it to Pedro Porro. He does it to, like, I think like Lars Bender at one stage. He does it to Kimmich. He's basically just an absolute menace. The man probably, I think, is kind of the devil in the way that he sort of dribbles. He seems to have no regard for human life. the way that he goes after certain people. He seems to really just enjoy just humiliating players. He's just one of those kind of guys that really maybe takes more satisfaction after kind of humiliating him than even kind of getting the, kind of the progression going. Then again, though, he really isn't really like a Neymar or a St. Maximin where he's just kind of sitting there, just kind of juggling on the ball. He genuinely is like dribbling it forwards at players. It's just he really goes for the most savage, sort of ways to take it past them. But in those games that I did see when he was playing for the likes of Georgia against the teams of, Spain, Germany, Portugal, etc., he was able to get them out deep from their own half. That's what a team like Georgia needs. One, they're getting pinned down. One, they're basically, all 11 men behind the ball. You basically just need some guy you can give the ball to that can take it past 2, 3, 4 players and just get a counter attack going. That is Kavicha. That's where his bread and butter is. And he was exceptional at that for Georgia. He was exceptional for that, as we've seen with his Russian team. And I feel like with a team like Napoli, for Spalletti, who is a very defensive manager at the end of the day, Spalletti, I think Kavicha is going to actually kind of tear apart, the Serie A, because when that team like Napoli is sitting nice and deep, they're inviting all that pressure. If you give Kavicha the ball with a bit of time and space, he will guarantee take it past 2, 3, 4 players, and they will be in on goal. Also, on top of that, Napoli, it's just one of those clubs that I know they haven't really been on like the upper echelon of Europe in some time, but they kind of secretly are one of the biggest clubs, in Europe when it comes to like the most passionate fan bases, when it comes to like how they operate as a football club. They're basically one of the biggest, despite maybe not having the Real Madrid sort of kind of like glamour. They still are one of the biggest out there. And it's really hard to really get a Napoli player to leave Napoli once they go there, especially if they start playing well. So I genuinely see Kavicha as actually being the next Maradona for Napoli. In fact, I feel like he's not really a Maradona. The way that he sort of dribbles is similar to, kind of more of a Zidane in the way that he dribbles, because I think he's like 6'1" or 6'2". He's actually kind of a bit taller than people realize. So he is going to be exceptional, but Kvaradona just sounds better on paper. They basically signed the new Maradona for Napoli for less than 10 million pounds. There you are, Georgian fan base. You've gotten the love, but yeah, there you are. I think he's just going to be basically an exceptional signing. And on top of that, they are losing a lot of, firepower. They've lost Insigne. They've lost Dries Mertens. They might lose Fabian Ruiz. I think they could lose Osimhen next season. Kavicha is going to be basically, Kavicha is going to get a ton of playing time. He's going to get a ton of playing time. And that's why I'm also excited, is that with that ton of playing time for less than 10 million pounds, if you're basically buying a starting winger for less than 10 million pounds, who could end up like blowing up, and being one of your best players for a long time. I don't know if he ends up hitting the heights that a lot of people think he will for less than 10 million pounds. Kavicha is just hands down for me an exceptional signing.
You mentioned about being the best dribbler sort of in the top 5 leagues, but obviously he was playing in a lesser league. Any player who can get 31 dribbles in one match is one of the best dribblers in the league. I don't care what league, I don't care who you're playing. If you can achieve, I don't want to misquote it. I don't think it was 31 successful dribbles. I think it was attempted dribbles. If it was successful dribbles, that is ridiculously scary. But not even just his dribbling, like you said, his shooting is very, very, very good as well. Like his long shots, his power of his shots, he's got an end product
as well.
He's
a lot of the Georgians were very upset when I even said that. I said he might be a bit 1-footed, and they all in the comments immediately said that he's more 2-footed than people think as well.
So I didn't even realize it was 9 million euros, and Kim Min-jae as well going to Napoli for, I think it's 14 million, I believe.
Also, again, like Davinson says here, the scouting of Napoli is very underrated. I forgot to mention that. So Napoli, while also being a huge club, they don't really have the purchasing power of a huge club, despite being a huge club. So they've had to operate very smart as well as very clever. So the Kim Min-jae signing and this Kavicha signing, for signing outside of Europe's top 5 leagues, insane signings, I actually think, signing Kavicha and Kim Min-jae. And also they're signing players that are basically replacing some of their most important players. Like Kim Min-jae is replacing Koulibaly. Kavicha is probably replacing Insigne. I'm reckoning. So I think this is so exciting. I think this is so fun, those sort of signings. So big up.
Well, I mean, that would be the long-term replacement for Insigne, won't it? Either that or be the player that, because they bought him for so cheap as well, when he in my personal opinion, inevitably does well, will be one that if they do get the money for him, it'll be one that then they can buy the next player in that position, maybe somewhere else as well, and continue building upon that. So yeah, I think this is a great signing. Like I said, I was going to include it in my list instead of my other signing. I can't say what it is, but people understand.
Okay, here's the last thing. I don't know if I would have even included it if it was like 19 million pounds. Like 19 million pounds, be like, all right, like maybe there's a bit of worry here. But the fact that it's less than like 10 is just like there's no risk, I think, at all. I don't think
you could, like you said, he could probably have a major injury, be out for 2 years, and you could probably still make money on him just solely based off his ability. I don't know how they got those two players for so cheap. It's ridiculous.
As a Russia situation.
How old is he now?
Situation.
Yeah,
it's like 21. He's 22. He's 21.
22, yeah. So I mean, even by the time, even if he was out for 2 seasons, he's still like relatively young by the end of that period. That alone somewhere else for a season, and you could probably recoup some of that money, or most, or if maybe a little bit more than that money, with one good season. So yeah, I think it's one that just works. Yeah, it's a good signing. I can't really argue against it.
Minamino, or should we do Flotsek? Because I will back you on Flotsek. But Minamino,
I'll get mine out the way then, because I feel like I've just done it because I really, really love Minamino, and I don't like how Liverpool massacred my boy, and I'm just happy to see him finally able to hopefully get a start. And you know what, Minamino when he was at Salzburg with Haaland was very, very, very good, like very, very good, and I think him and Briel Mbolo, because I think Mbolo also has gone to Monaco this summer.
Yeah.
I think that's a really, really good partnership. So for me, it's probably the exact same as the Dodo choice for you, Jack. But I can't. I'm just happy that he's now been freed from the benches of Liverpool and he can actually go back to performing again. And I do genuinely believe in Liga, and he will actually be a very, very good player for Monaco. So I don't know if he will affect anything in terms of leagues and cups and whatever, but this one was just sort of maybe I'm not bothered about winning. I just want Takumi Minamino to get the love that he got when he was at Salzburg again, and not be rotting away on the bench again. Because £13 million, yeah, okay, maybe it might be a lot of money. Liverpool didn't spend that much. I think they spent £4 million on him. But regardless of that, I do think there's a lot of quality, and he's also proven that at Liverpool. Liverpool fans saw him as a very clutch player. He scored quite a few, cup goals and got him out of maybe sticky situations that they weren't expecting. So I think he just basically, unfortunately, was behind an extremely legendary front three, and I can't really blame Liverpool for not starting him. So good that he's got to move away, and hopefully, at Monaco he can shine. But I'm not expecting to win this, because both these two players to the left and right of him, I know how ridiculous of a player they are. And you look at the fee, I didn't realize that Holozek went for that cheap as well. I'm speechless. I am speechless with the two signings that you two have chosen. So I'm happy to just sit this one out. I just wanted to give Minamino his shine and his props, and that's all I'm happy about.
A quick Monaco player that I've seen glimpses of him like in real time. So like the seeing eye test has proven it to me, but also just from what I've seen in numbers occasionally, that Sofiane Diop guy, I think he could actually be like a real talent for the future. I know he's like 22 or 21 or something now. Like maybe he's kind of dragged on a bit, but from what I've seen of him at Monaco, there have been times when I was like, that kid looks good. Like he looks like somebody that could move on.
I'm not too sure on him.
Where is a good club for him to settle down at? Maybe Monaco, he ends up being the new Ben Yedder. Who knows if he becomes the new Ben Yedder?
Hopefully.
That'd be cool.
Everybody should love Minamino. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to finish off and say, hopefully he has a great season at Monaco.
Rashad Chowdhury in here with the super chat saying, "Pick up Jack. Do you think we can get Madison?" At first, I really did think so, Rashad, but I'm starting to think that maybe Leicester, with how late they've left things to do in the window, will they really sell Tielemans and Madison this late in the window and then try to replace both of them in the same time? I feel like they're just going to sell Tielemans. They're going to try to replace him and maybe try to sell Madison. I don't know. Next summer is probably the most likely situation, I would imagine. But when it comes to James Madison, maybe they might give him 1 year contract extension. Maybe they sell him in January, but Rashad just seems like they're not going to sell him this summer because Leicester City, they've left the business to do so late that I'd be shocked that they sell their two most important players at the end of the season, right before the season starts, excuse me. So that would be pretty ridiculous. But I could see us more likely getting Zaniolo or Paqueta. Probably those might be more likely.
I think, like you said, the key in that deal is the fact that Leicester have pretty much done no business. If you've seen links to them, linked with other players, in that kind of attacking midfield or wide area, you'd kind of think, okay, maybe there's a potential deal here, but there's literally no links to anyone in those positions. They've not signed anyone in that position. So, yeah, you're pretty much just hoping that they'll sell one of their best players in like the final few days right before the league start. Well, the final few days before the league starts, and then try and replace them, which I don't think is going to happen at all.
No.
Which is sad, because actually that would probably be my favourite signing. The amount of goals that he contributes from midfield. But yeah. And also on Darius's Minamino, I do think that that's a good signing for Monaco. I think that he's a player that, I don't know, just hasn't really broken through at Liverpool when he's had chances. He's taken his chances a few times and he's scored goals in games for them, but kind of needs to go somewhere where he's going to get a lot of minutes. And I think for this signing, I think the price, it'll work out in the end. Maybe one that doesn't work out right away this season, but I think over the coming seasons, I think it'll be one definitely for the price tag that works out for Monaco for the better.
Definitely. But Adam Hlotzek, maybe I'll get you started here. A guy that has been long touted as a huge phenom coming out of the Czech league. I believe he came from Sparta Prague, but maybe I could be wrong. Maybe that is the right one.
No, it was Sparta Prague.
Yeah, Sparta Prague, because I know there is another one. Slavia Prague is the other one. That's right. I believe he's left-footed. I could be wrong. He's can play as a left winger, plays a right winger, plays a striker. He's going to be joining Patrick Schick, which is very interesting. What are your thoughts on this, Kieran? I must say I've made a very passionate argument for Kvaradona, which I might not budge on, but this Adam Hlotzek one is very clever of you.
Look, I mean, the guy's literally turned 20 a couple of days ago. I can't remember when it is. It's like the 20th or 22nd of July or something. I didn't know, but I'd seen it yesterday, what his date of birth was. So he's literally only just turned 20. So for the past two seasons, obviously in the Czech league, he's been 18 and 19 respectively. When he's been playing in those seasons, 2021 season, he grabbed 24 goal involvements, in all competitions. And then even last season went on and got 27 goal involvements in all competition as a 19-year-old. And I know a lot of people will probably sit there and bash it because it's the Czech league, but people have also got to remember that the likes of Kufau and Souček came directly from the Czech league, went straight into West Ham, and people are talking about them as some of the better players that have slotted right into the Premier League. So, when players are performing in the Czech league, I don't think it's as easy to just dismiss it as maybe it would have been in the past. Is that saying that the Czech league is elite? No, of course it's not. There are better leagues out there, but I think that coming in alongside Patrick Schick for that price, I think that Hlotzek will get a ton of goals. My light has just gone above me. But yeah, I think he will get a ton of goals. I think that there's a lot of room to develop there. He's so young. And look, when is the last time you've seen Bayer Leverkusen or just Leverkusen buy a young player where it hasn't really worked out for the better? It's near enough always worked out. True. And I had to include this as well because Leverkusen are probably the one team I watch the most from the Bundesliga. So for me, it's just exciting to see a player that's been touted for success for the past 2 years from, these experts online, that watch all the European football games. So a lot of people have been raving about him. He's been bagging goals for fun, as a teenager. And now it's time for him to go to one of those top 5 European leagues and prove that he can do it. So I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it too as well. With Adam Hlotzek, I feel like it's just going to be a partnership, for the future, to be fair. And with Adam Schick, or with the, Patrick Schick, alongside him, it's just going to be exceptional. I feel like there's no question that it's going to go well. Like, I don't know. Could it go well immediately though, Darius? What do you think? Or is it going to take some time to bed in?
Yeah, I think it's going to be fine. To be fair with you, I think underestimated the influence that Schick will have as well. Obviously, being a countryman, a fellow countryman, playing in the same role almost as him. I think they could create quite a strong partnership. And I didn't realize he was only 20 years old. So yeah, room for improvement is endless. He's got great finishing. That's the thing that stands out for me. Yes, I've seen a few goals where he's finished very, very well, and I do think that it's one of those signings where, again, for the price tag and for the fact that it's, I shouldn't use this as sort of a reasoning for a great signing, but there are certain clubs where if the Red Bull club sign a player, I'm gonna give them an extra, probably they'll do all right. Do you know what I mean? I'm not yet to see, certain clubs mess up consistently, if not at all, with their scouting, and Leverkusen are one that go completely under the radar with their sort of scouting system and their academy. I mean, they are churning out top class players every year, really and truly, to be honest with you. So I think this is going to go fine. I think will he? See, this is a question I'm going to ask you, Kieran, because obviously you are more of a Leverkusen watcher. First of all, what formation do Leverkusen play? And second of all, do you see them playing sort of a front three of, maybe Hlozek on the left, Schick on through the middle, Diaby on the right? I'm not sure how they're going to set up, so it'll be interesting to see. But they've got options now, so it'll be exciting.
It'd be really exciting. No, it really could be. Sorry. With Hlozek, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's just no question that it won't, really work out perfectly, for him. He's going to play, either as a left winger or as a right winger. He could play as, up top. Moussa Diaby is probably the most confident sort of winger that they have available to them. I don't know. Like, will they go for two up top though? Did Patrick Schick play with two up top last season, or did he, kind of play by himself? I think he played by himself for the most part.
He played by himself. Sorry, when you said that, I was trying to quickly fix my light because it went out again, and then I was mid-desk.
I realized, and I sort of like left it to you, and I was like, "Oh, he's not here. That's really evil of me to leave."
I was trying to get back to unmute myself, but I was literally like standing on a stool trying to reach across the light. So I was like, crap, trying to jump back down. But no, generally it's kind of like a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3 when, I suppose, in attack. The thing with Hlozek as well, Adam Hlozek as well, that I did like, and the reason that I put him in for this is that he doesn't just play up front. He can play on the left. He also has on the left wing. He also has played games at attacking mid last season. And I think that, with Florian Wirtz's injuries last season, I think that this is a player that if you can maybe even drop him into that attacking role just to fill in, he's still going to get minutes there. So I don't think that Patrick Schick alone up top stops him from getting minutes. I think he will play out left, or I think he will play in that attacking midfield role. For me, I think he will slot in no matter what, even if he doesn't start ahead of Schick or he isn't rotated in for Schick, he'll play somewhere else. If Ertz is injured, I think that this will be one where he kind of plays as that second striker, making runs beyond Schick, because we know that Schick does at times drop deep and kind of pick up the ball. So, yeah, for me, I think that he will slot in, whether it's as a striker, maybe not initially, but I do think he will get minutes in the team.
Now, I actually, okay. I'm going to make the case that Kavicha is still the best signing, because I do think he's going to come into the team and actually probably be at some stage looked at as being, a starter in this team. Will Hlozek come into this team and start right away? I don't know. That I
Jack,
want him to.
I'm going to ask that you give this one to me, because no one is going to be voting for my one on the last one. Everyone is just going to hate.
We'll put it on standby. We'll put this one on standby.
You got to give me this.
I might say, which one will get more game time? Which one will get more minutes? Just final question between Hlozek and Kavicha.
Kavicha
might get
more. Kavicha will get more minutes. Just because of the fact that I think his skill set will be more enticing in terms of it will get that Napoli fan base off their feet. It's when he starts dribbling with the ball at his feet, they're not going to want to see him on the bench, because they're going to know he's going to have that impact against teams. So I think he's going to become a very, very quick fan favorite over in Naples.
Good to see you, Tequila. Good to see you, Tequila, in the chat. Last forward here.
Arrest him, guys. Arrest him.
Juan Jesus. I love it.
I'll let
Maybe,
you guys.
Kieran, would you want us
I'll
to
let you
go
guys
first?
go first.
Are we bouncing off
Well,
each
I'm
other
not
for this
gonna.
one?
I'm not gonna go first
Yeah.
and then allow you guys to come back and just absolutely bash me. I gotta let you guys go first and then try and defend myself.
All right. So
I can't.
with Adeyemi, we're basically signing one of Germany's most talented and most feared young players. He is only 20 years old. He's turning 21 in the middle of next season. He's actually as well, going to probably be in the German national team. I might even imagine coming up into this World Cup. In the Champions League, he was an absolute threat for Salzburg. Most of the goals that he did score were penalties. I think he scored 3 goals and 1 assist. 2 of those were penalties, but he was the main threat in that team. He was able to actually carry that, Salzburg team out of the group. Darius and I made those predictions, back in the day for those Champions League groups, and that, kind of group that they were matched up with, it was kind of like anybody's game, to get through. I think it was Wolfsburg. I think it was Salzburg. I think it was Lille. And I think there was one other team as well that, might have been in there too. It could have been like Sevilla or something like that was in there too. And they had kind of equal chance of getting out. And Salzburg was probably the least likely, I think, at the time that we predicted, to advance from it. And they actually ended up being the group winners, if I'm not mistaken. And when coming out of that group with Salzburg, Adeyemi clearly showed that he can make it on the Champions League stage, as well as being able to do it, of course, in the Austrian league. I think in the Austrian league, I think what I wrote down here, 19 goals and 5 assists, 4 of those being penalties. So basically 20 goal involvements from open play. I feel like the kid is just going to tear apart, the Bundesliga. He's so good at running in behind. The Bundesliga is a league that has a lot of space in behind. Most teams don't really sit back. Most teams like to put up, a very aggressive high line. Really just suits his game. Daniel Malen, that transfer, I feel like didn't work out too well over at Dortmund. So he's basically just a better Daniel Malen that they have brought in. If Sebastian Haller, was actually healthy and, do everybody send him his good wishes. But this could have been an exceptional transfer, especially him alongside, someone like Sebastian Haller could have been gorgeous, but also Terzic. Terzic worked really good with young players, I think, in the past, over at Dortmund. I just see Adeyemi. I don't know. I might be crazy here. I see him finishing potentially second or third closest to top goal scorer. He might be third top goal scorer.
Yeah, I think he's honestly, I think it's a little bit like you've forgotten about how good he was, because when you partner his ability and his best qualities with that Bundesliga, like you said, I don't see his numbers going down. I see them staying the same, if not improving. And partnering that with the players that Dortmund have, I'm very, very worried that he will actually, probably have maybe a similar, if not more of an impact than Jadon Sancho. Maybe not in terms of numbers, but I think that he's got
that's a lovely take.
He's got that. It's a lofty take, but he's got that explosiveness, unlike Sancho, where Sancho was unreal with the ball at his feet, and he was by far and most probably one of the best players I've seen at Dortmund. However, the fact that you mentioned
Haaland, though.
He had Haaland, and the fact that you mentioned the fact that there is so much space in the back lines, or behind the back lines in Germany, he's so tailor made for that. It's like if that connects, it's finishing, just everything. Like I said, his best qualities will shine in this Bundesliga, and I think again he's proven that with the quality of the opposition sort of going up in the Champions League, his quality doesn't diminish. So Sancho is one of my favorite players at Dortmund. I feel like I'm going to have the same amount of love for Sancho as I will do for Adeyemi, because he is tailor-made for the Bundesliga, and I think he will genuinely do just as good as he did last season. I'm expecting 15 goals, to be fair, from Adeyemi. So yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. And you know what? To be fair with you, and obviously it's awful what's happened to Haller. Had obviously Haller been playing, I think that would have been a really, really dangerous duo to deal with. Yeah. So yeah, no, I think I can't argue. I tried my hardest to think of another player, but nah, Adeyemi. Ever since they signed him from way early on in the year, I was like, yeah, this is Dortmund know what they're doing, and they still continue to do that.
With Haaland, right? Haaland was the original, best Salzburg striker. They brought him in, then sold him on for, some money, had him, flourish with the Bundesliga. They've just gone and, just repeated it, copy and pasted, done the same thing, with Karim Adeyemi, which I think is, at the end of the day, just go back to what go back to, the farm that, helped you out the first time. So this is probably maybe not very clever, but it's actually smart because they've just gone with what they've known, Dortmund. And I think they know there's no risk. I don't think there's any risk, in this signing whatsoever. It's going to blossom. And also the price, I think, is actually cheap for what the kid actually is going to bring to a team like, Dortmund. But maybe because it's a Bundesliga team, that's why it's probably a bit cheap. Maybe that might be the reasoning, where it had been maybe somebody else would have been more expensive.
I mean, I think, like you said, with Adeyemi, the Bundesliga is tailored to him. He will get space as well, which is where he's going to thrive. I think he will have big shoes to fill in terms of Haaland. Sure. And I think that maybe some people will see it as a failure at first because they are used to Haaland numbers and used to Haaland. But I think that, as the season goes on, even next season, I think people will really kind of realize that this is a really good bit of business. So I think it's probably a bit of business that will probably go under the radar just because people will constantly compare him to Haaland. But I think that, as time goes on, I think this is one that people will consider an even better deal. It's kind of like that Sonny deal, Originally when we signed him, people are going, oh my God, we signed Son. Tottenham have signed Son instead of Berahino, and then, look how well that one's aged. Like Berahino, where is he now? I don't even know. But look at Son, you just keep looking back at that price tag, and every season it keeps going up and up and up. So I think this will be kind of a similar one, but obviously more orientated to Dortmund. Obviously, we've not signed him.
Yeah, but Adeyemi, I don't know. Darius, would you agree with me? Before we let Kieran finish with his, would you say he finishes? I'd go as high as third closest to top goal scorer. I think he could get. I think he could get 18 goals in the Bundesliga.
I said 15 minimum. I think he could, given like you said, given the way that teams play in the Bundesliga, he's gonna have so many chances. So it's just whether he's clinical enough. And like you said, if he is, he will score easily, in my opinion, 15, 20 goals this season. So
maybe great also signing. I like Marco Reus, who's a veteran, of that team could help him out, 2 Germans as well. Yeah. That's the other thing. I could just see him, really settling because, he wants to make that German national team. Dortmund players often can get into the German national team. Like, you could see this as like a long-term club for him, too. Whereas maybe Haaland, saw Dortmund as more of a short-term club. I could see Adeyemi staying there for like 5-6 years, too, as well.
Definitely. But it's great signing. I'm not, like I said, there's a reason why we both chose him, because I could not think of anybody else.
But somehow someone did, and that was Gabriel Jesus for Kieran. Kieran, feel free to explain yourself. £46.98 million. That is not including add-ons. Thoughts?
Okay, I just want to clarify, right? This is not one of my favorite signings, right? But it is one that I think is an interesting signing. For me, it's not my favorite, but it's one I'm interested in. If I was talking my favorites, I would have had Richarlison, Adeyemi, Kavica, Skamaka, all of those would have been, before him. And that's even before I even think of the other transfers. So in terms of my favorite, of course, it's not one of my favorite. But like I said earlier, I put this in for a hot take because I do think it's an interesting signing. I would have preferred it if you used him in the Man City kit instead of that shite that he's wearing. But yeah, look, the only reason I picked him is obviously last season didn't do that well. We only had a year left in his deal and I paid so much money for him, But the previous season in 36/90s, he got 37 goals, goal involvements. He's getting goal involvements in more games or more 90s than he's playing. And most of the time they're off the bench. And some of those goals, were even in Champions League, in 8 Champions League games, 9 involvements. So I think it's one of those ones where he's coming in to replace Lacazette and Aubameyang, pretty much. Lacazette was 8 goals last season. Arsenal fans are touting him up to be like a 25 goal a season striker. I don't think he's going to get anywhere close to that. I think he'll maybe get kind of in between that 10 and 15 range, maybe a lot more if he has a really, really good season. But I personally just do find this interesting because he's a striker who typically has done better when there's space to run in behind, which generally for Man City there's not. And I think that the part that interests me is more the price tag, how he's going to adapt to playing at Arsenal, a team that is probably going to get a little bit more space in behind. Can he actually improve his numbers and prove people wrong? Or is he going to be a massive flop and Arsenal paid 46 or nearly 47 million, not including add-ons, for a striker who only had 1 year left in his deal on his contract, and everyone in the Premier League is going to laugh at Arsenal and Gabriel Jesus? That's personally why I find it interesting, but is nowhere close to being one of my favourite signings. That's personally why I put this in. Because I think
the only thing I'll give you is that it makes sense for them. It has, according to preseason, gone very well so far. He's actually weirdly the most experienced player that they've brought in. I think that's what's kind of the most laughable thing about Arsenal's transfer window, is that they lost top four because they didn't have experienced players to get them through top four, and they've continued to bring in more unexperienced players. But Jesus is actually somehow the veteran, sort of, like shoulder, the wise head of shoulders amongst them, which is, I think, is actually quite funny. Even the way he sort of carries himself around the team, it's like he's kind of like the veteran of the team, like somehow he's been there, done that. It's actually quite hilarious. It seems like, all he wants are young, very impressionable, sort of players, Lego head. But I do feel like Gabriel Jesus is going to do very well for Arsenal. That is my fear. I would love to see him fail, but I am fearful that he will do actually very well.
This is also why I wanted to put it in, because I also want to hear what your thoughts are on him. But I also don't want to. Let's suggest we do a video on Gabriel Jesus, because that's never going to happen. But at least with this way, with it being an interesting signing for me, I can include it and maybe get your thoughts, because I personally think that he'll do well. I don't think he'll be worth that amount of money. But yeah, to be honest, I'm more interested in actually everyone else's thoughts.
Maybe I'm not talking about it because I do think it's actually quite a good deal. And to be fair with you, I think the main thing for me with the Gabriel,
you missed last week as well. Actually, Darius defended the Jesus signing more than he defended the Richarlison signing.
I just think that it's when you give somebody a player like that, I don't want to call it like the main character role, or that sort of, you give him a little bit more responsibility. He's almost seen as like you said, Jack, that the guy around the team who's gone through most, who's got the most experience. I think that's gonna do a lot for him. I think as much as I want to, take the mick out of the Arsenal fans and laugh at them, they are a rabid fan base and they are very, very loyal, and they will, back their players so almost blindly sometimes. And I think that Gabriel Jesus probably
so much so that they think he's going to get 20 plus goals.
Yeah, and maybe that sort of crazy confidence is what a player needs to hear. Because if your fan base is loving you, and I understand that the City fans really did like him, and he got them that 100-point season, in my opinion, with the last minute goal. I think they did like him, but I also think that City fans know that there's many, many, many other players in that City team that, have more of an influence and more of an impact on that team. So seeing him go wasn't big for them. That's why, there wasn't 4 Premier Leagues at a club. It's pretty big. Do you know what I mean? So I think now these Arsenal fans have got him. They're going to treat him like, the player that he is, to be fair. He's a quality player. And
they're going to treat him like Jesus. They're going to treat him like Jesus, not Jesus. They're going to treat him like Jesus. And
that will give him the confidence to, I think he will score 15 goals this season. I do see him doing that. And I think, like you said, in preseason, he's looked really good. I can't lie. He has looked really good in preseason. So I'm not.
Is he getting 20 plus goals in the league? Is he getting 20 plus goals?
Let's not lie. Son and Salah were the only players, I think, to get 20 goals last season, weren't they?
Yeah.
So
this is what I was going to say.
It's a big feat.
I don't think he gets that. Like, think of it, right? Salah taking penalties last season, got the same as Son. And Son, we're sitting here going, that's his highest ever goal scoring season. The first Asian player to ever win Golden Boot, in Europe's top 5 leagues. And the amount of goals he got not taking penalties is insane. And now some people are expecting Gabriel Jesus to go in, get more goals than Salah and Son got last season, even though, it's like, it's unrealistic. Will he do well? I think he will.
I should be happy with
as much as I actually hate saying it. Honestly, it might sound like I want to give them credit or anything, but I don't. It actually hurts me to give Arsenal credit because I just want to shit on them and laugh at them the whole time. But as much as I don't like Arsenal, I hate Arsenal. I think this is a good signing. I think Zinchenko one's a good signing, but I also just think they needed someone experienced. For me, I just think this is interesting because he brought in someone who had a year left for £47 million, not including add-ons. And, you know, a lot of their thing to Tottenham fans, Arsenal fans been saying to me, the ones that I know, like, yeah, but, you know, we don't have a Harry Kane or a Son. We don't have a proper striker that scores goals. And now they're propping him up as if he does score these goals and he is going to score these goals. It's either going to work out and be really successful or it's going to be pie in the face. And I'm hoping it's the latter.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
I think we all do.
Yeah. Again, just want to clarify, this isn't one of my favorite signings. There will be a lot of players before this, you know.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Well, everybody, I think the way we've totaled it so far is, I don't know if, looks like Darius and I each got a point there. Maybe we'll give ourselves a point there.
Let's give Hlozek to. I feel like we should give Hlozek to Kieran. You know what? Because he argued that Jesus point very eloquently, and I don't want to admit it, but Jesus probably is a good signing. I'm willing to give you Hlozek for explaining Jesus so well. If you can give us Adeyemi, we can give you Hlozek. Can you agree with that, Jack? I don't know if you can, but
I don't know if I can. But it seems like you guys have the majority here, so you guys might have to. You guys might win here, but I don't know if I can agree to that. I must say, I think my Kavic argument was convincing enough, and I think we babysitted you through that Gabriel Jesus argument. I think we're being very kind to you there. I think we could have slotted you down because that big fat price tag is staring right at me right now. And I must be honest, if he's not getting the 20 plus goals a season like the Arsenal fans predicted he would for 46.98 million, I'd be surely disappointed. But where Kieran is right, and the part that I think we helped him out on is, I think you'd be lying to yourself, Spurs fans, if you didn't think that this could be a bit of a scary signing. I think we're all like a bit worried that this could go well. I think we're all a bit worried that this signing makes sense, that it looks like a good signing on paper, which means it's a good signing. When Spurs fans are fearful of an Arsenal signing, that's when it's a good signing.
But like I said, I actually think there'll be other strikers that will have better seasons and a better impact for the price than him. But obviously, I didn't get to take part in the Richarlison versus Jesus
you could have just combined with me, and Kvaradona. You could have just you could have just combined with me. Could have gone with Kvaradona, but you didn't decide to. You went for your,
I know, but that was because you went first and then I went second. Then Darius put in his message. So it was like, well, I can't just be like, oh, actually, let me pick the same person after I put in my message.
I think the way that I've decided, everybody, is that Kieran has lost. We're going to have to find a replacement for him in the near future. If anybody knows anybody, feel free to contact
the channel. If anyone asks, I was not fired. I was not kicked off the show. I'm on holiday.
But we do have Kieran's channel in the chat that we're about to put in. Kieran, I know it's been like a busy week for you, but I bet there's going to be some content coming up at some point and some stage. And like I said last time, when Darius was here and you weren't here, you guys did a really brilliant show without me while I was on vacation. Which was, I think, brilliant. So tell us about your channel.
First of all, if I'm being kicked off your channel, that was actually you being kicked off my channel.
You kicked me off first.
No, I'm joking. Obviously, Jack was away at the time, so he couldn't be on. And then I realised Jack actually was around. Was giving me grief in the chat. He was like, "Hang a second, you guys are live. You guys are going live, and I wasn't invited." But yeah, no. Obviously, there will be a lot more content coming this way. Obviously, this week is just kind of been a bit hectic. Obviously, with work, it's my brother's 21st as well, which are trying to throw a surprise 21st, and there was like cakes and all decorations and everything being transferred between our house and his girlfriend's and stuff, trying to be kept secret. So it was a bit of a busy week to be posting content. Had family over as well, so there will be more content this week, especially with our pre-season finishing this week against Roma, or this weekend against Roma. There are so many videos I wanted to do that I had lined up that I couldn't really do until the end of the transfer window coming the start of the season. So we're kind of coming into that peak period now where I'm going to start kind of hammering out some content, and all my video ideas are now going to be at that perfect time frame within the season where I can start posting. So people want to hear about Tottenham, not Gabriel Jesus. I won't be talking about him over there. It will be strictly Tottenham content. If people want to hear about Tottenham content or Premier League content, then you can go to my channel that Jack has linked in the comment section or on the description or title.
Love that. Everybody, show Kieran the love that he deserves. He's come on this channel nonstop and has, brought a lot of wisdom and a lot of intelligence to these streams. So I'm pretty sure you're going to find the same thing over on his channel. But Darius, Paxton Road, I've been seeing you a bit more often on Paxton Road, which is nice to see as well.
I've got my time back a little bit now for the next month or so. Kind of similar to Kieran, not been as hectic. I'm not going to do the competition and who's had a busier week because I don't like to do that. But I genuinely have a bit more time to spend making a few more videos. So I'd love to, again, if you guys want me on any videos, hopefully I'm free for a lot more. And I hopefully want to start a bit of a daily show on Paxton Road that I host as well. So if I can sort everything out for tomorrow, be prepared. Keep a lookout for a show. Maybe at lunchtime I might do it. Just maybe just talking about things to do with Tottenham, rounding up, like you said, preseason and stuff. So yeah, it's nice to have a little bit more time and put it into some good content. And like you said, it doesn't feel like a job. It feels like we're just coming on and talking about football as we would off camera. So it's fun. I love it. And like you said, if you do want to check us out on Paxton Road, please do. Yeah, like I said, it might be a show tomorrow that I'll put out, and then Sid will have his show out tomorrow as well at 8 o'clock. And then we've got a watch along for the Roma game on Saturday as well. I'm not sure what time kickoff is for that game, so I have to double check. But
I think it's 7 o'clock. British
7 time. Oh, nice. So yeah, nice late one. Don't have to wake up or anything. So yeah, please stay tuned for anything on Paxton Road. We're always bringing stuff out, and obviously stay tuned for this channel because it is just an amazing channel. And sometimes, like you said, it is fun to talk about things other than Tottenham because, boy, we are doing it a lot more than I realized, a lot more than I expected this window. So yeah, please, Jack's channel is amazing. Kieran's channel is amazing. Paxton Road, if you do want to, after you've checked out those two channels, check us out as well. Please do, but it's always a pleasure to.
The thing that hasn't been mentioned about Paxton as well is even when you're not live, there is near enough always a group of other people from Paxton Road going live. So if you are someone who is like just wants Tottenham content, you can pretty much just go over to Paxton Road and near just daily, just constant Tottenham content.
Different people, different characters. Can't have the same with us. And I promise you, if you watched enough of Sid, you wouldn't be able to tolerate Sid for more than a few days either. So that's why we have to switch it up. But no, thank you so much, Kieran. There are loads of us that you can check out on Paxton Road. So even if you don't like me, I'm pretty sure you'll like Sam. I'm pretty sure you'll like Jody. Pretty sure you'll like Deji. So yeah, they're all
find somebody.
Yeah,
you'll find somebody in that beautiful family on Paxton Road, especially also the best player ratings in the business with Jody as well.
She's coming back as well. She's coming back with a big show soon, so stay tuned for that. She's going to do a prediction ratings for the season, so stay tuned for that one. That's going to be a banger.
That's sick, actually. That's a cool show idea, I must say. And also, everybody wants to be on those player ratings with Jody, even if they have their own player ratings on their own channels. I must say, I think I'd rather be on the Jody player ratings because it's a good discussion. She comes well prepared for it. So show Paxton Road a bit of love, everybody. But that'll be all for now. We're going to have a bit of an evening headlines later on the Irish Hotspur, I believe. Hopefully, David will make his return. If not, it'll just be me, and you guys will probably continue to get used to me if you haven't already. But everybody, smash that like button on your way out. Feel free to check out the Jules Koundé video if you want to hear me rant even further and, listen to my own voice and how much I love that signing. But as always, everybody, come on, you Spurs, and we will be seeing you.
Fuck.